So there hasn't been a tier list made for the climbing moans in Genshin Impact, so I decided to make one. Here we go. First up is Amber. Amber doesn't really have anything special. Although the pitch is good, the moan is quite staccato in nature and the timbre is very lacking. Therefore, I judge Amber's moans to be C tier. Next up is Barbara, and she's on a whole different level than Amber. The loudness of the moan has a much fuller resonance, and the fluctuations in timbre of her moans are much more noticeable, and in fact, very harmonic. Barbara's moans definitely induce much more emotion than Amber's. This is exactly how you want a moan to be. Barbara is an easy S tier for me. Next up is Beto, and honestly I had higher expectations, but unfortunately I was let down. Her moans sound like impassionate hiccups, which is a shock considering her character design is so aggressive. With a character like Beto, you would expect some massive, sexy, medieval war cry moan from her, but we're just left pretty disappointed in my opinion. So I put her moans into the C tier. Bennett is up next, and unfortunately, although he is the best character, he definitely does not have the best moan. There are many things to note, such as the lack of loudness, the timbre, and the sonic texture is just all really shit. Bennett's moan is very hushed and monotonous. So I put Bennett into the C tier for moaning quality. Next moan to be judged is Chung Yoon's. Although his moan lacks in loudness, you can definitely tell the difference in his timbre. He evokes a little emotion with each grunt. The little part he does is quite pleasant. If he improved just a little bit in his pitch and his loudness, I think he would be perfect. Therefore, I put Chung Yoon's moan into the B tier. Next up is Diluc, and my goodness, do you see a very stark difference from the others. Diluc's moans are very pleasing to the soul and are quite sonorous. The texture and the timbre of the moans work harmoniously together. It honestly puts me in tears. I'm honestly considering changing Diluc's moans for my alarm clock so I can wake up every morning with a smile. And it'll help complement my morning wood every morning. Diluc's moans are an easy A tier for me. Next up is Fischl, and she has the cutest moan out of all the Genshin Impact characters. The Chunibyo is just too overpowered. The pitch is great. The duration and the loudness is absolute quality. Fischl's moans are very sweet and rich to the ears, offering a pure melodic sound. I place Fischl's moans into the B tier. Next up is Jean, and my goodness does Jean have an amazing moan. The pitch, duration, loudness, timbre, and the sonic texture all are just working together harmoniously. Scientists should definitely consider using Jean's moan as a new treatment option, and I'm definitely certain that it will do well. Jean is a very easy S tier for me. Next up is Kaya, or should I say Kukya, cause fucking hell, I am appalled. Kukya's moans are very unpleasant and raucous. His moans are very shrill to be honest, and it leaves a really bad taste in your mouth. Therefore, I place Kukya's moans into the D tier. Next up is Kaching, and although her moans aren't that loud, she definitely makes it up with her pitch. Her moans are very percussive and piercing to the ears, but also a little bit reserved, which makes it an amazing combination to listen to. If her moans just had a little bit more fervor and robustness, I think she would easily be S tier. Therefore, I put Kaching's moans into the B tier. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot what I was doing. Lisa's moan is a melodic masterpiece that has transcended not just video games, but the fabric of space-time itself. They say you can't hear anything in space, but I can say with absolute confidence that aliens from distant galaxies can definitely hear this delectable symphony and are scared that we humans have produced a sound so astronomically majestic, which explains why they haven't contacted us yet. Lisa's moan is the first to reach SS tier. Mona is next, and her moans have the correct pitch, although she was slightly lacking in the loudness category. She does add her own unique little twist to it by doing her little grunt, which is refreshing. Like Kaching, she also has a very percussive moan, which works well for her. Therefore, I put Mona's moans into the B tier. Ninguang is next up to bat, and her moans are pretty lackluster, which is quite unfortunate. Her moans are just very quiet and staccato in nature. They lack that emotion and passion. It kind of leaves you with a dull and empty feeling, which is not what you want. For moans, Ninguang goes into the C tier for me. Next up to judge is Noel's moans. Noel has her own sort of unique kind of moan. Having your own type of quirk is definitely an advantage. Her timbre is solid, and the loudness and sound quality in general is very good in my opinion. I put Noel's moans into the B tier. Following Noel is Sucrose. Sucrose's moans are kind of like Mona's in that they're unique. They kind of don't have the oomph or the passion as one of the A tiers or the S tiers, but they definitely are unique in its own way. Sucrose moans are a B tier for me. Next moan to judge is Child's. His moan is very lackluster. You don't really hear the loudness or the pitch that you're looking for. Just a big pile of mediocrity in my opinion. I placed Child's moan into the C tier. Next up is Male Traveler, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. His moans are not only unique, but have a rich fullness to them, and the timbre is just excellent. The moans here are just very melodic. Male Traveler moan slides into the A tier for me. Following the male MC is the female MC. Female at Main Traveler has good pitch and loudness, but kinda lacks in the variety. Her moans are still very harmonic and very pleasing to the ears. I place Female Traveler into the B tier. He ain't called a god for nothing. Venti has one of the most overpowered moans in the game as well. His timbre fluctuations in his moans are up there with Lisa's. The duration is very appealing and the loudness is absolutely fantastic. You can hear it from a mile away. Venti's moans are very uplifting and put you in a good mood no matter how shitty your day has been. I place Venti into the SS tier along with Lisa. Chong Ling is next and her moans are very solid. She has excellent sound quality and loudness, and her timbre is fluctuating, which is always good to see. Her moans are very rich but soft to the ears, which is a nice combination. I place Chong Ling into the B tier. Jinku's is next, and his moan is very staccato. His moan not only lacks in loudness but in timbre as well, which is a bad combination to be lacking in. There is a lack of variety, and I don't really sense some sort of melody from him. I put Shinku's moans into C tier. Xinyon is next, and her moans are pretty lackluster. They're not particularly loud or unique in its own way, and it doesn't really evoke any sort of emotion inside of me. It just isn't as vibrant and full as other characters on this moaning list. So I place Xinyon's moans into the C tier. Zhongli is next, and his moans are actually quite good. Although the duration is not long, it has a very rich and full tenor sound. The loudness and the pitch are excellent, and the sonic texture is great as well. I place Zhongli's moans into the B tier. Beto's moans are next on the table to be judged, which are pretty lackluster. You don't really sense some sort of emotion, and the pitch and the duration is very unappealing. I'm going to place Beto's moan into the C tier. And finally, the last moan to be judged is Razor's. His moan is not only unique but is very trancing. The pitch is perfect, the loudness is excellent. His moans have a very robust sound quality to them. Therefore, I put Razor's moan into the S tier. So this is the finished Genshin Impact climbing moans tier list. Obviously, we don't have Zhao or Ganyu yet, so we'll have to see when they come out if their moans are able to land near the top of this tier list. But that's pretty much it. Later.